Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Data Analysis with Dr. Veronica. In this video, we would look at how to add an if function inside another if, which is basically called nesting. We will see how to nest the if function with the AND function. We will see how to nest the if function with the OR function. And we will see how to use the IFS function, which is a function that is available only on Microsoft 365, Excel 2021, and Excel 2019 versions. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please subscribe, hit the subscribe button that you see on your screen and give me a thumbs up to support what I do so that the YouTube algorithm will pull up my video every time somebody searches for how to do nested if and how to do if else. Please also drop a comment in the comment section about what you think about my video. And also to add that the link to the practice file is in the description box. The best way to know how to use Microsoft Excel is to actually do it. Download the practice file so that you can practice along as you watch the video. Let us get started. We have this data here, which is the summary of the payroll of a fictitious company. And the senior management has agreed that the staff should be given bonuses, but the bonuses will be based on the category that the staff is placed according to the payroll. Like we can see here, the staff on category A will have 20% off their basic salary as their bonus. And the staff on category B will have 18% of their basic salary as their bonus. The staff on category C will have 15% of their basic salary as their bonus. And the staff on category D will have 14% of their basic salary as their bonus. This is the situation that we have, and we will see how to use nest the if function to achieve this particular result. But before we go to see how to nest the if function, it's also very important for us to see how to use the if function by itself so that we can refresh our minds on it and go ahead to nest it. And by the way, if you do not know how to use the if function, there is a comprehensive video I made on the if function, and the link to that video is in the description box. If you have no idea about how to use the if function, please watch that video because it is comprehensive and it has a lot of examples. Using the if function, we have this. If basic salary is less than 60,000 naira, this is not good. So let us assume that this is the condition that made the management to decide that staff should have bonuses. So let us see. How do we use the if function to determine if the basic salary of somebody is less than 60,000 naira, which means not good? So I'm just going to put the equal to sign like this, and I type if, open the bracket. The logical test is basically if the basic salary is is less than 60,000 naira, like this. What is the value if true? So if the basic salary is less than 60,000 naira, I am going to put not good. But for the fact that you're typing a text, you have to put the text in the quotation marks so that Microsoft Excel will recognize what you're typing in. So not good. And I put the comma separator. We can see also that the if function has 3 arguments. The first one is a logical test. The logical test is what you are trying to test. The second one is the value, if that logical test is true. And then the third argument is the value Excel will bring for you if the logical test is false. So if the basic salary is not less than 60,000 naira, what do we do? So basically, we are going to use good, and I hit the enter button on my keyboard. So I am going to double click on this rectangular edge at the bottom right of this cell right here. So I double click, and this is what I have. So we can just run a quick check. The first two that is showing us not good is obviously because these two basic salaries are below 60,000 naira. And the other ones are all way above 60,000 naira. So this is why it is showing us good. So this is how the if function works, basically. We are going to the next example, which is determining the bonus for each of the staff based on the different categories that they are placed. And how to do this, of course, we will see in a few seconds. So we type the equal to sign and open the if function. And the logical test is basically on the salary category because the bonuses was placed on the salary category. So if the salary category here is equal to this, if it's equal to the same category in the bonus table array that I have, then of course I am going to fix this so that my formulas are not going to move when I drag it down. What is the value if true? If the salary category for this staff is A, this means I want his basic salary multiplied by the bonus percentage for category A. And I am going to fix this as well so that we don't have a movement in the formula. So like I said, I'm going to explain this again. If the salary category, which is E8, is equal to A3, which is the bonus category here, okay, so give us the basic salary multiplied by this rate because the bonus category is calculated on the basic. It's a percentage of the basic salary. Excel is asking, what is the value if false? Okay, if false, I want to put in another if function because all my arguments, I have not finished making use of all the conditions that I have been giving. So I'll open another if function right here. And the logical test again is that if the salary category again is equal to, this time we use the B. And I am going to fix this by pressing F4 on my keyboard, put the equal to sign. The value, if true, is the basic salary multiplied by the percentage for category B. And I am going to fix this as well. And I put the comma. The third one, the value if false, I am going to put another if function. And the logical test again is if the salary category is equal to C, just like we have right here. And I'll fix this by hitting the F4 button on my keyboard. What should be given to me? So if the salary category for any of the staff is C, this means I want their basic salary to be multiplied by the rate, the bonus rate for staff that will be on category C, which is what we have right here. And I am going to fix this and I hit the comma button on my keyboard and I have value if false. So we have just one more argument to go and I am going to type the if function again. If the salary category of the staff is equal to category D, and I am going to fix this, give me the basic salary multiplied by the bonus rate for staff that exist on category D. And I will fix this as well. So the value if false will be 0, and I am going to close the brackets. And you have to count the number of parentheses so that you get the accurate number of parentheses. And I just put the enter button on my keyboard, and this is what I have. So this staff that is basically on category A, okay, if we want to do this on a different cell, so we are going to say this staff is on category A, and this is his basic salary multiplied by the bonus associated with that specific category. We can see that we're having the same exact result. This means that our nested if is working really perfectly. And I'm just going to drag this down, bearing in mind that I had fixed all the formulas that I was supposed to fix, all the cell references that are supposed to be fixed have been fixed. And of course, we can determine the new basic salary for each of the staff. And this is pretty easy. It is just by calculating the old basic salary plus the bonus, and then we will get the new basic salary for all the staff. And I will just drag this down right here. So this is how to nest the if function so that you can use the if function to achieve even bigger tasks. You can use it for more complicated tasks like the one that we have seen right here. In this next example, which we are also going to apply nested if in another type of example, which is that I have this report. I have this ledger generated by the accounting system, still for a fictitious company. and we can see the month, we can see the date, we can see the description, the transaction amount, the currency. This is the code, and this is the project. There is one thing that stands out for this particular example. In this case, we are supposed to prepare the donor reports. And each of the donors that we are working with, that we are supposed to give the reports to, they all have different exchange rates that they're working with, because we're working with foreign donors in this particular example. And we can see that the local currency is called A. But here we have the exchange rate for each of the different donors. And these are the donor codes, okay, associated to the project. And we can see that for each of the donors, they have different exchange rates. But of course, in our community, we carry out transactions in the local currency, which is currency A. But then we have to provide a report in currency Q, currency M, and currency T to the three different donors. So how do we, having generated the general ledger, how do we determine what exchange rate should be used for a particular donor so that we can get the exact donor amount and report the financials to the donor in their own currency? We can, of course, do this by nesting the if function like we have seen in the previous example. So we do this by just putting the equal to sign, and I put if, I open the bracket. The logical test in this case is that if the project in this case is N0060, this is the exchange rate I want. If the expense is related to the project N0070, this is the exchange rate that I want. And if this particular expense is related to the project N0050, this is the exchange rate that I want. Okay, so these are three different scenarios, and we want to use nested if to see how we can achieve this. So first of all, my logical test says that if the project here is equal to this, and I am just going to quickly fix this. I'll fix this particular one so that when I drag my formula, it's not going to change, it's not going to move. And I put the comma separator. What is the value if true? If the project is N0060, this is the exchange rate that I want to see, and I'm going to fix that. I put the comma separator. Value if false. So I am not done yet, and I am going to proceed with another if function. I open the brackets and say that if the project is equal to N0070, and I'm fixing this, what do I want to see? What is the value? If this argument is true, I want this particular exchange rate to be displayed for me, and I'm just going to hit on F4, that is on my keyboard, and I put the comma separator. The next one, the value if false, I am going to proceed by adding another if function. Open the bracket to say the logical test will be if the project is equal to N0050, and I will fix this. I put the comma separator. What is the value if this is true? Every time the project is N0050, what should be displayed? I need this particular exchange rate, and I'm going to fix this. I put the comma separator. The value if false would be 0, and I'm going to close the first parenthesis. I close the second one, and I am going to close the third one, because you can see right here that we opened 1, 2, 3 parentheses. So all three of them needs to be closed. And I press the enter button on my keyboard, and this is what I have. I'm just going to drag this down, and up to this point, we can see expenses that are related to project N0060. We have the correct exchange rate. The same for project N0070, we have the correct exchange rate, and the same for N0050, we have the correct exchange rate. Now we can determine what the donor amount will be correctly, now that we have the correct exchange rate associated with each project and each expense line. So I'm just going to put the equal to sign and get the transaction amount in my local currency and divide this by the exchange rate to get what the donor amount will be. And I will just drag this down like this, and this is what I have. And just because personally, I always like to put commas when I'm dealing with numbers, I'm just going to click on this comma right here to see that this is nicely arranged. So we can go ahead to use this general ledger that we have here to prepare the donor reports in the donor currency, knowing that we have done the conversions correctly. In this example, we will see how to nest the if with the and function. So for this specific scenario, we want to see if the salary is less than 200,000 and greater than 90,000, what are we going to tell Excel to do for us? In this example, we can see that we have two conditions. Number one, if the basic salary is less than 200,000, the second condition is the salary also has to be greater than 90,000. For this specific case, we see that we cannot use the if function alone. We have to nest the if function with another function, which is called and. And there is something peculiar about the and function. The and function is one of the functions that allows you to do a logical test for more than one condition. And both conditions must be met when using the and function. Okay, so let us see how this works. I put the equal to sign, put in the if function, and because I have two conditions, I am going to type and open this bracket. The first logical test is that the basic salary, which is right here, is less than 200,000. So because I have 200,000 written out here, I'm just going to select the cell reference and I will fix it by pressing F4 on my keyboard. I put the comma separator to go to the second logical test. And the second logical one is that the basic salary is greater than 90,000. And because I already have 90,000 written out in a cell, I'm just going to select the cell reference and I will fix this using the F4 key on my keyboard. So these are the two conditions that I have. So I will close this and function, and this is my logical test basically. I have two logical tests. This is why I use the and function. I'll put the comma separator. What is the value if this test is true? So I'm going to put stay. What is going to also be the value if this test is false? So for the value if the test is false, I'm going to put a 0 and I close the bracket. This is what we have, and I'm just going to double click here and this is what we have. Okay, so we can see that for the three cells that came up with a stay, it is between 90,000. The salary is between 90,000 and 200,000, just like we have specified in the condition. So like I mentioned earlier, when you use the and function, all the conditions you specify must be met before you get a specific value if true. So in this case, both conditions are met. This basic salary, 157,820, is less than 200,000 and above 90,000. So we go to the next one. In this case, we say if the basic salary is less than 200,000 and greater than 90,000, Excel should give us stay, which is basically what we did earlier. However, this continues to say if the basic salary is also greater than or equal to 200,000, give us a better. Otherwise, write the same. So same in this context means give us the value that exists already, okay, as the basic salary. So we will see how this works. In this example, we'll also nest the if function with the and function, and we will also nest it with another if function. So we type the equal to sign and type the if, open the bracket, and I type and. So we have two logical tests. The first one is that the basic salary is less than 200,000. And because I have this, I'm just going to select the cell reference and fix. Please do not always forget to fix your cell if you do not want the cell to move. And then the second logical test is if the basic salary is greater than 90,000. And I'm fixing this as well. So these are my logical tests. I'm just going to close that bracket and put the comma separator. What will be the value if true? So if this logical test is true, I want Excel to return stay for me. But for the value if false, I'm going to nest another if. And the reason is because we are not done with the requirement of the question. So the question also said, if the basic salary, which is this, is greater than or equal to 200,000, which we already have here, and I'm going to fix this. The value, if true, is that I want Excel to give me better. And I put the comma separator, what will be the value if this is false? I need the exact amount that is stated as the basic salary. So I am going to close the first bracket. And as you can see, we still have one more parenthesis which is open, and I will close the second one. And I hit the enter button on my keyboard, and this is what we have. So I will drag this down to see how this works. From the outcome that we have seen, all the cells that is returning a beta for us is because basically this is way above, it's greater than 200,000. Like I said before, with the AND function, both conditions must be met. So we go to the next example, which is if the salary is less than or equal to 60,000 or greater than or equal to 40,000, then Excel should return good for me. With the OR function, what happens is that at least one of the conditions must be met, just like the AND function, but the only difference is that at least one of the conditions must be met. So if you put 6, 7 conditions and at least one of them is met, then Excel will return the true value for you. So we'll see how this happens. Put the equal to sign and type if, open the parentheses. The logical test is, I'm going to put or because in this case it's either one of the conditions that we are testing for. So the first one is the basic salary is less than or equal to 60,000, because I already have that written in a cell. So I'm just going to select the cell reference. The second logical test, the basic salary greater than or equal to 40,000. I'm going to select that because it's in a cell already. And I close the parentheses for the OR logical function. And I put the comma separator. What is the value if this is true? So if this is true, I need Excel to return good for me. Or if it is not true, then I need a 0. Let's see how this works. This error is coming up and Excel is asking me if I'm going to accept a certain correction. Of course, I would accept the correction. Thank you, Excel. And I have to drag this down so that it is applicable to other cells. So as we can see, all of them are good because at least one of the conditions are met. So this is how the OR function works. And when you nest the OR function with the if function, you can optimize Microsoft Excel even better. We go to the next example, which is the use of IFS. IFS is a new function in Microsoft Excel that is only applicable to the users of Microsoft 365, Excel 2019, and Excel 2021 versions. The IFS function was done to overcome the problem of having to nest so many if functions together. So what it does is it removes that particular need for nesting a lot of if functions, and it is really smooth. So we are using the same example that we used previously, which is determining the exchange rate for each of the projects according to the donor requirements and getting the final donor amounts that will be used for the donor reports. So we are using the same, but in this case, we will use the IFS function to see how we can get the exchange rate based on certain conditions. So you just need to put the equal to sign and type IFS like this. You open the bracket. Now for the IFS, it requires you to put a logical test and the value if true only. There is no provision for putting a value if false. So this is something to bear in mind. The logical test is this, the project, of course, because we want that for each of the projects, we would determine the specific exchange rate that is related to that project so that we can make the correct reporting to the donors. The function goes like this. If the project is equal to this, you put the comma separator. This is going to be the value if this particular condition is true. And I am going to fix this and as well fix the next cell so that I don't have movement in my cells. I put the comma separator to go to logical test number 2. So we can see in this case that instead of writing another if function, I can just use a comma separator and go to logical test number 2. So the IFS function allows you to run multiple logical tests just in one formula without having to nest a lot of if functions together. So the second logical test is that if the project code right here is equal to the project code here that I have listed out, I'm going to fix this. Then you give me this exchange rate, 107.3, and I will fix this as well. I use the comma separator. It takes me straight to the third logical test. So the third logical test is basically that if the project code is equal to N0050, and I'm going to fix this as well, I put the comma separator. I need this specific exchange rate, and I will fix this as well. So I have imputed all my logical tests, and I just close the bracket and I press the enter button on my keyboard, and this is what I have. So I'm just going to double click here to have all the figures popping up for me for the other cells. Now determining the donor amount is pretty easy. All you need is to divide the transaction amount in the local currency by the exchange rate, just like I would do right now. And you hit the enter button on your keyboard, and this is what I have. So I'm just going to double click to drag this all the way down. And these are the donor amounts that I have. I have the amounts in the local currency adjusted for the exchange rate. Now I have the donor amount. So I am able to use this financial expenditure list to build the financial report for each of the different donors. Thank you so much for watching the video up till this point. Please hit the subscribe button if you're yet to subscribe. Hit the notification bell that you see on your screen so that every time awesome content is uploaded to this channel, you will be notified instantly. And give me a thumbs up if you love the content that you just watched. Let me know what you think about this video in the comment section. You can also include in the comment section what you would like me to do for another video. Thank you so much, and see you in another video.